on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. We're going to talk about the myth of the big switch. Yeah, that lie that the Democrats have been saying for a long time, that Republicans and Democrats switched. Yeah, we're going to deal with that lie today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. Man, I've been going back to this Napoleon quote a lot lately, when the great Napoleon Bonaparte said, history's lies depend agreed upon. One of those lies that hadn't been agreed upon, and people just don't really talk about it much because Republicans are so bad at messaging. I mean, you know, them suckers can't sell $1 for 50 cents. They just horrible at messaging. And this has been this lie that the Democrats have put out about the big switch. Now, what is the big switch, you say? Well, I'll tell you what the big switch is. Everybody tried to explain why the black people stopped voting for the Republican Party because Abraham Lincoln and the Union Army, freed them from the Confederates and the Democrats. It's just a fact. And then after Reconstruction until 1876, black people voted for the Republican Party. And all of a sudden, after the Civil Rights Movement, they started voting for the Democrat Party. Everybody said there was a big switch. That's a big lie. There's no big switch. Black people always vote for the Democratic Party, except for maybe about 4 or 5 years after Reconstruction. You want to hear the facts about the big switch? Let me give them to you. All right, first let me give you some logic. Jim Crow, right? Old black people being treated like dogs. Black man stone cold, most black men, not all black men, because the black men in my family, I had a granddaddy named Torch that they called him Torch because he's mean. He was kill anybody. Probably got some white bodies on him. He got killed. White man wouldn't kill him because they're scared of him. So he hired a black man by the name of E.D. Nixon to shoot Torch on the way home. My grandmother used to have a hope chest where she showed me the handkerchief of Torch's blood on the handkerchief that he had in his pocket the night he was shot. Yeah, Torch was my grandmother's father. So Torch wasn't he didn't play. My dad didn't play. So every black man down south wasn't a coward. But most of them was. And believe me, I saw them, okay? I was just drunk cowards, bent back, laughing and scratching with, those types. I couldn't stand them. Couldn't stand them then, couldn't stand them now. All of them Democrats. Every last one of them Democrats, then and now. The whole dadgum kid put caboodle of them, okay? So, Jim Crow was rough. Black people down south treated like dogs. This is how the narrative goes. Civil rights movement comes in. White Democrats who, before the civil rights movement, hated black people, after the civil rights movement, jumped to the Republican Party because the Republican Party was racist. Even though the Republican Party, more of them supported the civil rights legislations than Democrats. Let me make one thing perfectly clear. The civil rights movement was a farce, all right? It's too much empirical evidence to show that black people got worse after the civil rights movement than before it. So let's just stick a pin in that. Also, the civil rights laws, and I'm going to do some shows on that in the future, really didn't do anything to help black people at all. It was the Cold War thing, I've talked about that before. I'll get into it some more. But it didn't do anything to help black people, okay? In 1964, you had more black people voting percentage-wise before the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And the only time more black people voted percentage-wise than in 1964 was in 2007 when they voted for Barack Obama. And all of this was happening before the 1965 Voting Rights Act. So don't give me these civil rights. And the 1964 Civil Rights Act, same thing. It didn't do anything but give black people the ability to sit on the toilet beside white people to eat and give the white folks their money. It was just stupid. Anyway, I digress. But black folks try to say that because of that, white Democrats went to the Republican Party and the South switched Republican. That was a big switch. And the racists went to the Republican Party, and the good white folks came to the Democrat Party along with the black people. I even heard college professors tell that lie. Just stone cold, outright, bald-faced lie. And the evidence doesn't bear it out. Let me give you some pointers. All right. Black folks were doing okay. They were making strides during before the civil rights movement. And you say that these conservative Democrats were over them. We didn't have AIDS. We didn't have family breakup. We had shrank our poverty rate from 80% to about 30% in 20 years, the biggest reduction in poverty in the history of the world. The great migration that happened, black people working at Ford, working at GM, the black middle class was rising. Growing up in Brownsville, Tennessee, again, I would go see my father at his office. Dad was a businessman. Dad had on a suit and a tie. He worked up at Golden Circle Life Insurance. Al Ross, his son Bill Ross, is the mayor of Brownsville now. Had his life insurance company. We go upstairs, and we go up there, and we saw black professionals. Yeah, it was an insurance company. Dad was a staff manager at the time, and I didn't see this black dysfunction that we see now. I just didn't see it. So we're told that the white racists went to the Republican Party, and the white liberals went to the Democrat Party along with the black liberals. And after that, hallelujah, Shangri-La, everything's good. Well, riddle me this. Why did after, quote unquote, the black conservatives left and went to the Republican Party, why did the black community get worse? Detroit, bankrupt. Chicago, terrible. New York, terrible. Memphis, they got worse. Schools were destroyed. Black family went from 80% of the children being born in wedlock to 80% being born out of wedlock. Black economy, gone. Al Ross's life insurance company no longer exists. No longer exists in Brownsville, Tennessee. No. AIDS, crime. Nobody went to jail. Now, going to jail is like getting a college education in the black community. It's part of what you do. Joker would talk about going to prison as like he went to a college back when I was growing up. If he didn't do some time, he weak. It's crazy, crazy society that they made in black America now. So black folks got worse after the civil rights movement and after the liberals took over the Democrat Party. How did that help black people when they got worse under liberalism? Abortion didn't even exist in the black community. Didn't even exist. Now black women abort half of their children. Over 20 million abortions since Roe v. Wade in 1972. The most dangerous place in the world for a black child is not on the streets, it's not in jail, it's in his mother's womb. LGBTQ. You didn't have a bunch of AIDS and transgender crap going on in the black community back then. Barack Obama made it where it's basically where you're celebrated now. Don't have children, man in a dress. You couldn't see Kamala Harris without a man in a dress beside her, a black man specifically. Billy Porter, boy, that joker ugly. I mean, ugly man in a dress. I mean, RuPaul and all that kind of ignorant mess going on all through the black community now. Now you got a generation of young black folks where they did a poll at Stanford that says that 33% of young black men say that they are heterosexual. 34% say they're LGBTQ. 34%. More say they LGBTQ than say that they're heterosexual, and the rest of them don't know. So only 33% of young black men now are saying that they're men. That means that 67% either LGBTQ or don't know what the hell they are. And we think that we've made progress under these Democrats and these liberals? Come on, man. The big switch. Black people make a big switch. So let's talk about the numbers that show that the big switch is a lie. All right. 1960 election. LBJ, well, it was John F. Kennedy and LBJ against Richard Nixon. So in that election, in the southern states, that's the, some people say 11, some say 12 southern states. You had Arkansas into that. You had 7 of the southern states go Democrat. 7. 5 went Republican. That's 1960, okay? 5 went Republican. All right. 7 Democrat, 5 Republican. Now let's go to the 1964 race. All right? This is LBJ. He's going against Goldwater, right? Same thing. It's not much change. You had Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. They all went Democrat. The rest of them went Republican. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states this time. 5 southern states went Democrat. 7 went Republican. It's just a switch of 5, 7 one time, 5 the next time, 7 this time, 5 the next time. Then we go to 1968. Basically same thing. You got 5 southern states that go Democrat, 7 southern states go Republican. Now, where's this big switch you talking about? Big switch? 2 states? Two states. In 1960, you had 7 other southern states that went Democrat. In 64 and 68, you had 5. Big switch. And then, 1976, when Jimmy Carter won, the whole entire South went Democrat. Now, if you had a big switch, how did the entire South go Democrat in 1976? Whole South. If there's a big switch, that means that they switch. They don't go Democrat anymore. They go Republican. But in 1976, voted for Jimmy Carter, the whole entire South goes Democrat. Well, what about Ronald Reagan? What about Ronald Reagan? Well, in 1980, everything went to Ronald Reagan, y'all. I mean, everything went to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan only lost, let me see, in 1980, Ronald Reagan lost Minnesota, and that's where Walter Mondale was from. He was senator from Minnesota. He was Jimmy Carter's vice president. Ronald Reagan lost Minnesota and lost Georgia. That was Jimmy Carter's state. So, of course, he lost the state from the vice president and from the president. And he lost Maryland, he lost West Virginia, and he lost D.C. Ronald Reagan won 46 states, lost 5. And then in 1984, hell, he won everything. Ronald Reagan only lost 1 state, and that was Minnesota. And that's where Walter Mondale was, because he was running against Reagan. I'm giving you facts, y'all. So when you say the whole South went red in 1980 and 84, well, all of America went red in 1980 and 84. California went red. New York went red. Vermont went red. Mississippi went red. That's why Ronald Reagan is a phenomenon. You don't get that anymore. I don't think you'll ever see the day again where Mississippi and California go for the same candidate, or Alabama and New York, or Tennessee and Vermont and Massachusetts. Ronald Reagan took everything. The only time the South only went hard red, the first time the South went straight Republican was in 2000 with George H.W. Bush. First time. First time. And this was 36 years. 36 years after the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Acts. Big switch. 36 years in the making. A stone cold lie that y'all still buy to try to make you feel good about bowing to your white master's party. So you want to hear the real truth? Here's the real truth. Black folks started voting for the Democratic Party in 1876 before Abraham Lincoln was cold in the ground. Why? Because they had Reconstruction down in the South. They had the Union soldiers down there, and the Union soldiers were protecting the black vote. And in 1876, black people voted for the Democratic Party. If you look at the Electoral College map, the whole South went blue. Every southern state. And black men outnumbered white men in the South. Had 3 times more in South Carolina, 2 times more in Mississippi. So the Democrats came up with a plan called the Mississippi and the South Carolina plan. It dealt with intimidation, it dealt with bribery, it dealt with murder. They would either intimidate black people, kill black people, or bribe black people. And knowing what I know about the black establishment, all you had to do was do some bribery. Buy a lick in a pork chop sandwich, few dollars, and cost them much. Or just walk up to them and say, hey, Bob, I want you to vote for me. You got it, boss. It's nothing new under the sun. Still do it. Mississippi and South Carolina plan is in full effect right now. Street money, souls to the polls. Like I said, bottle lick in a pork chop sandwich, ballot harvesting, all of it. You're trying to hide the fact that you always voted for your master. You ain't going to get it over on VinceEverettEllison, though. I know you. I know you. I've been around you my whole life. And just like Nancy Pelosi said, you'll vote for a D. A D. If it's poured beside a glass of water, you'll vote for a glass of D. You'll vote for a glass of water if a D is on it. If it's a Democrat. She said that these people are so brainwashed in these districts. If you put a D on a glass of water, they'll vote for it. What's changed? Who went down into the black community and changed this? After the Mississippi plan, they went down to subjugated cowardly black men. And if you said you were a Republican, they'd run from you. If you said in your daddy's house you was Republican, they beat the hell out of you. And it's the same thing now. You got to have some courage to say that you're a Republican in the black community. And they don't even know why they're mad at you. Don't even know why. I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. Whoever votes my values, my Christian values from my Bible, he got my vote. Democrats have lost their mind and they don't do it. They are an evil institution. They're a party of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots. Thugs, hoes, and rappers. And black folks vote for them in astronomical numbers. The party of slavery from 1800 to 1860. The party of the Confederacy from 1860 to 1865. Yeah. The party of Jim Crow from 1865 to 1965. Now the party of transgenderism, abortion up to the 9th month, against school choice, failing schools, won't take your guns away, won't have fentanyl across the border. That's who they are. And we come to take you down. So I want y'all to come out to an event that's been held at the Embassy Church outside of Atlanta, Georgia, Bishop Hardin's church. It's a Blessed Night of Faith. I'm going to be speaking there along with Bishop Hardin and a few more people. We're going to be trying to educate children of God about this evil demonic party. And we're not going to be talking politics that night. We're going to be talking religion that night. So don't be trying to say, I thought Vince Ellison said politics ain't supposed to be in the church. No, we're going to be talking about religion. We're going to be talking about God and how he lines up with your life and with your politics. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. We're just going to tell you to make sure that you vote your values. And if you don't vote your values, why are you calling yourself a Christian? So yeah, y'all come down to the Blessed Night of Faith. Down outside of Atlanta, Georgia at the Embassy Church, Pastor Harden. It's going to be a good time. Bishop Harden, excuse me. It's going to be a great time. And we're going to try to educate you on some of these issues. And here's the kicker, y'all. Pay attention to how the black community, how these white liberals have made a fool out of black folks. Even after, and because, black folks love the Civil Rights Movement, and they love the Voting Rights Acts, and they love the Civil Rights Acts, right? After all of that, you only had one white Democrat down south that voted to support the Civil Rights Acts, and that was Ralph Yarborough out of Texas. So it was 20 out of 21 that voted against them, all these white Democrats. You know what? Black folks got the right to vote after the Voting Rights Act. You know what? None of them lost their seats. None of them. Eastman didn't lose his in Mississippi. Stennis didn't lose his in Mississippi. Al Gore Jr. didn't lose his. None of them lost their seats behind those votes. None of them. Fritz Hollins didn't lose his. Strom Thurmond didn't lose his. None of them. Strom Thurmond was the only one to turn Republican. But none of them lost their votes. Now tell me why. Because black people still voted for the Democrat Party. Now, did you hear what I just told you? If black people didn't like Democrats unconditionally, when they got a chance to vote, after they secured their rights to vote in the Civil Rights Acts, they should have voted against the white Democrats down south who in the Senate voted against their right to vote. Instead, when they went to the polls, they all voted for the same Democrats that worked against their right to vote. Now, like I said before, I'm a smart guy. I got a big brain. Somebody needs to explain that to me. The very person, you say you love the civil rights. You want to be able to sit beside white folks on the toilet. You wanted to be able to eat beside white people at the lunch counter. You want to be able to sit beside them on the bus. And you wanted to vote. You get the right to vote. And the very joker that voted against everything you wanted, every Civil Rights Act, you voted for him because he didn't lose the election. Not one elect. They died Democrats. I know Fritz Hollins, you couldn't run him out of South Carolina. You could stay there until he retired. Strom, Stinson, Ennis, all them old. No good, dirty. Even George Wallace. Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. Black folks kept voting for George. George Wallace became governor in South in Alabama in the 80s with black support. Jesse Jackson went down there and voted and helped him run. You know why? Because they love that master. They love him. Y'all, these are all facts. This is not me just blowing smoke. I'm telling you that whenever you hear somebody talk about the big switch again, these are black Democrats trying to cast shade on the fact that they're a bunch of sellouts, that they joined the party of their masters, that after the Civil Rights Movement and they could no longer keep black people from voting, they went to their black house Negroes and they said this right here. Well, since we can't beat them, let's join them. So let's get old Tom, the very same joker that we was getting, that we were using to hold black people back for the last 100 years. Let's now get him to run for office. And he's going to go out and tell the black people there was a big switch. And now all the good white folks in the Democratic Party and all the bad white folks in the Republican Party vote for me. And black people were stupid enough to believe it. That's what the big switch was, y'all. When it came time to run for public office in the South, the Republican Party did not exist. And black people that wanted power, instead of starting their own parties, they decided to join the party of the master. And the master said, tell all of these black folks that all the racist Democrats have gone to the Republican Party. And they say, yes, sir, boss. And like Lyndon Johnson said, I'm going to have all them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And that's the big switch. That's the lie of the big switch. I'm sorry you guys fell for it. I'm sorry that the textbooks tell you about it. But again, like I said, man, I rewrite history here. I wrote this in the Iron Triangle. That's why it became one of the best-selling political books in the history of the world. I go on college campuses and just cut heads with this stuff, man. You can't deal with the facts, player. That's why I go all over the nation. Doing what I do. That's why I sell so many books. That's why my podcast is blowing up. I give information and facts that nobody else does. So that's your big switch. That's the lie. There ain't nothing strange about the Democratic Party. All they do is lie. Bunch of morons and freaks. They make me sick. But you know what, y'all? You ain't got to worry about nothing because I'm here to wake you up. I hope I did you some good today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the T-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.